Hello friends, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and today I'm reviewing this. This is the Fringe Sport Mammoth belt squat. It's one of the cheapest belt squats that's out there. I also think it's one of the best designed. But there's a lot of things I want to tell you about it, but first I want to show you how it works. So come with me. First off, this is a modular belt squat, and that's one of the things that's so great about it. I'll go into detail on that, but this is designed to be used on either a 2x3 or a 3x3 rack, either a 1-inch hole or a 5/8-inch hole rack. The rack that we have here is a 3x3 rack with 1-inch holes. The way that you attach it, use the supplied hitch pin. You put this in here. By the way, as you can tell, UHMW goodness on the inside of the tracks that connect to the rack. Usually within this price point, that's not a possibility. You then simply place this in here. You can lock the cotter pin if you'd like. Then you take the pre-supplied belt that comes in the box, not typical. I'll tell you about the belt in a little bit. Attach it to here and you're ready to go. All for $250. Now, there are some things I don't like about it. There are some improvements I want to give on it, but before I get into that, let's get into the review. Okay, now before I get into my specific opinions, a couple things. Number one, Fringe Sport did send this for free for a review. We're gonna give our honest take like we do on all our videos. Also, if you'd like to purchase it, we'll put a link below the like button where you can do so. The company will pay us a small commission, but doesn't change what you pay. Now, I wanna get into this review. First off, this is by Fringe Sport, company based out of Texas. This is imported. They actually partnered with a guy named Kaizen DIY. We've talked about him in the past on the channel. I really like his social profiles. I think he's on YouTube too, but he's a guy that DIY stuff, and this was something that I think he DIY'd, and then they decided to make it an actual product, which I think is really cool. The other thing that I think is cool, and the most standout feature on this that I want to talk about from the get, is the price. This is $250 with free shipping, and it also includes a belt. But I do think that if you're looking for a cheaper belt squat, this should definitely be in the realm of one that you're looking at. But I do want to say from the very beginning, this is like designed to be a value-based belt squat and designed to take a build that has been out there, that has worked, and make it a little bit better without increasing the price a ton. There's like one specific thing I'm thinking about this that I don't like and I want to see added to it, but for $250, what you can do with this, pretty outstanding. Number one, as you can see, this is a modular design. It's pretty simple. All they did really was they took a 2x3 11 gauge steel upright like they would use on their squat racks. I wouldn't be surprised if they just used the same tubing that they use on some of their squat racks. Previous to the 3x3 1-inch hold era that we are in now, where home gyms, like if you're going for one, most people are building with a 3x3 rack with 1-inch holes. This was the standard upright, but they didn't just use that because that's what most belt squats on the market do. This is 30 inches, and that is what most of the cheaper belt squats that this competes against. I'm thinking of the Revolt belt squat. That's what this competes against. It's a 30-inch tube. But what Fringe Sport did was they added an extension on there. And why that matters and why this is modular and why that matters is this, number one, makes it cheaper to ship. So they can add additional features and additional things that you would want into a box without you having to pay extra for it, which is awesome. Also, the length can be adjusted. So the length on the tube is only 30 inches, but the length of the actual unit with the adjuster piece on there goes all the way from 39 inches to 49 inches, which means you have a longer lever arm. And the reason that matters is lever arm belt squats are not the best. Like, they're just not. Like, you're inherently getting something cheaper, so you're willing to forego some of the features from a better belt squat. So I still think it's worth looking at. If money was no object, the best belt squat for squatting, I think so, is the Squat Max MD. If you're just doing vertical squats, that's the best one out there. The one that I use is the Rogue Rhino because I appreciate its versatility more. But if you're looking at a lever arm belt squat, the longer the lever, the better it is. The reason being, the arc is not going to be exaggerated on a longer lever. The closer you are to the upright, the more exaggerated it is. So on a Revolt belt squat, for instance, you can definitely feel the forward and backward pull. On this one, you still feel it, but not nearly as much because it's 19 inches longer, or can be if you'd like it to be. But the other benefit to that is because it's modular, because it's adjustable, if you're in a small space, which a lot of people that are probably using this, they're liking both money and space, and they're trying to build a home gym, still want to do belt squats, this allows you to bring this forward another 10 inches so it's shorter. So it can work for a variety of spaces, and it can work for a variety of body types, which I really like. The third benefit to the modular design, and I love modularity, most home gyms do, but you can add other attachments or move the weight horn. And they didn't just like come up with a crappy weight horn, it actually has a welded top, which for that price point, I wasn't expecting. Usually those have plastic. So one of the unique features about this is it's designed to be used for both 2x3 and 3x3 uprights. The orientation I have it in now is 3x3 because that's what we have on the rack, but it's designed for pretty much every upright that's out there. And the way they were able to do this, which I think is pretty smart, is they used a 2x3 tube instead of a 3x3 tube. Most people are like, I like a 3x3 tube best, but for this application, it doesn't really matter for your use case. If you want to use it for a 2x3 or a 2x2 upright though, all you've got to do is unbolt these, turn the upright over, they have a different spacer that's thinner, and then you're able to connect it without any slop on the rack and still use a 5H pin. That is genius. And the reason that it's able to be done is because it's a fully modular design with holes on either side. Overall, the modularity is nice, and so is the build quality. What it's doing really well. It's got a nice black powder coat. It's using black zinc hardware. It's also using a fully welded end cap on the weight horn with a rubber stopper. The other thing is it actually comes with a belt. One of the things that was annoying about some of the other cheaper belt squats that are out there, you still have to buy a belt. And so let's say you go with a Spud Inc belt, you're gonna spend as much or more than you are on the actual unit to get the belt. So then your cost is super high. They actually include a belt, and it's not like the greatest belt in the world, but it's also not the cheapest belt. They could have cheapened out even more on this. It actually has foam on the inside, and it has multiple D-rings so you can adjust the depth of it. I'm glad they made that addition, and I'm actually surprised at the price point that they would include it. So it comes with the belt, but also, as I mentioned, you can have the hardware that works for a 2x3 rack, but it also comes with it. So you can keep it, if you say now have a 2x3 rack and want a 3x3 in the future, you can just keep the hardware that comes in the box and just swap it out. Okay, so pretty simple design, works well for its use case. This isn't gonna be as nice feeling as say a Sorinex J Squat, which is $1,000 when you add in the lever arms. So just a completely different galaxy in price. But there is something about this that I think they should add and could improve. One thing that they do offer is another option for a wall mount. And I really like the option for a wall mount because some people may not have a rack or they may want to place it somewhere else. And so they offer a $30 attachment that bolts into the wall using studs. And then you can use this on the wall mount on the wall. I think that's great. But I would like a third addition, a third option. And the third option I'd like to see, and I think they can still do this, is to fix the most annoying thing about these lever belt squats and to also provide a bridge in the price point between something like this and something like a Sorinex J Squat. Because right now, if you're looking at belt squats and you're gonna find something that's simple, portable, small, that attaches to a rack, you're basically looking at like a Revolt or something like this. And then there's this vast price gap between that and a Sorinex J Squat. So you're like, what should I get? I wanna see them add a kickstand to this thing. That's the thing that's most annoying about these, is if you're gonna use these as a belt squat, you have to start at the bottom of the rep, which means every time you have to get down, let's say you're doing a lot of weight, you have to like lunge up, feels really awkward. Also, like most likely place you're gonna get hurt because you're kind of like trying to get up with your very first rep. It's the reason we use squat racks, so you can start at the top of a rep. I wanna be able to start at the top of a rep using this. And I think they could do it if they added some sort of kickstand that you could then throw out of the way, but they should offer another option at a $300 price point or so with a kickstand. At that price point, $300 to $350 with a kickstand, that's like a Sorinex J Squat killer. The only thing that's really would be better about the J Squat is that it would have better quality. The plates actually on those, you can load more plates because they go out to the side, but this has the benefit that you can get greater depth because they go on top. So I would love to see a kickstand offered on this as just another attachment. The unit, $250. I like it. I think it's definitely, for those that are in a cheap price point, is definitely one to look at. There's another one, by the way, that we recently found about called Signature Fitness. They sell them on Amazon. We'll put a link below the like button for you to check out. It's 70 bucks. It's essentially a copycat of the Revolt. That versus this is a wider price gap. This versus Revolt, I'd say this is the new budget belt squat king. The Revolt was kind of it before. This is so much better than the Revolt. Like if you're looking at the Revolt, spending 40, 30 bucks more, maybe somewhere around there for this, I would definitely do any day of the week. Like this thing is so much better because of the adjustability, the longer arm, the better quality, the included belt. Like when you buy a belt, you're pretty much gonna be at this price point anyways. The UHMW on the inside tracks, the ability to use it on 2x2 or 3x3 or 2x3 racks, the ability to use it on 1-inch hole or 5/8 hole. There's just so much about it. Like this thing is the king, I think, for that budget cheap cost. Now there is another one I want to compare it to. If you've used it, let me know in the comments. The Bells of Steel belt squat lever arm that goes with their Hydra series racks. Let me know if you use it because it's also very cheap. But for now, yeah, I'm a fan of this if you're within this price point. This has been Coop from Garage and Reviews. Do you agree with the review? Is there something about this that you like or dislike or another one we should compare it to? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time. Peace.